Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, it is election night, 1912. America watches as history could be rewritten. The year is 1912, and the race for the presidency is between incumbent President William Howard Taft and the Democratic challenger, New Jersey Governor Woodrow Wilson. The Progressive Boldness Party, led by former President Teddy Roosevelt, has fractured the Republican vote. But in this alternate history, Roosevelt is absent from the ballot, leaving the election a direct contest between Wilson and Taft. The Democratic Convention in Baltimore was a marathon in real life, lasting more than 45 ballots. Speaker Champ Clark entered as the front-runner, but Woodrow Wilson, the reform-minded governor of New Jersey, slowly gathered momentum with the backing of William Jennings Bryan and a coalition of progressive delegates. Wilson eventually overtakes Clark by the 26th ballot. Wilson secures the nomination, uniting both Southern conservatives and Northern reformers behind him. Wilson accepts the Democratic nomination, framing himself as a new voice for the progressive reform and honest government. He will select Thomas Marshall as his VP pick. Wilson won a huge variety of states. He won Texas, Oklahoma, Hawaii, the territory of Hawaii. He won Utah, Arizona, Nevada, Oregon, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Indiana, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maine, North and South Dakota, Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina. The Southern Underwood wins Florida, Virginia, Georgia, Alabama, and Mississippi. Clark, as you can see on the map, he won a lot of states, but Wilson wins on the 26th ballot. Harmon won 2 states. He won New York and Ohio. On the Republican side, the picture looks very different from our real history. In reality, Roosevelt challenged Taft bitterly, splitting the party in two. But in this alternate world, Roosevelt bows by the start of the primaries, leaving Taft to consolidate support among the party leaders. Senator Robert La Follette had a good show in this primary. He won states like North Dakota, South Dakota, and his home state of Wisconsin, very popular there. Poor Roosevelt supporters quickly found out that Taft would easily win from being in control of the party. States like Oregon, Minnesota, Illinois, Maryland, and New Jersey voted for Roosevelt. But the states are colored in gray, as you can see on the map, for the states that Roosevelt supporters walked out of, leaving them absent. When the delegates gathered in Chicago, the fight was much shorter. President William Howard Taft was renominated with a clear majority on the first ballot, though he faces progressives. The convention avoids a bitter scheme that doomed Republicans in real life. The 7 p.m. poll closes. They're not closing in Vermont, Indiana, Kentucky, Virginia, South Carolina, and Georgia. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In a major projection, we can project President William Howard Taft will win re-election to the U.S. presidency. He will win it with California. After a brawl at the GOP, it looked like former President Teddy Roosevelt would run again as a third party and could have very likely cost Taft the election. But Taft united the party just enough to get Roosevelt supporters back, and he will win it. William Howard Taft carries the swing state of Indiana. He will just win it. He'll also win Washington with 7 electoral votes in the West Coast state. Wilson did make some good progress, but he's nowhere close to winning it. In Oregon, with its 5 electoral votes, it will go to President William Howard Taft. And in Ohio, Taft will barely win it. Just barely. And he will win it by 466 votes. He wins it by 2,160 votes. That's 48.4%. This is the closest state this election. Wilson got 501, 694 votes. Debs got 33,187 votes. That's 3.2% of the vote. Taft will just win Ohio with 24 electoral votes. Very important state. And in New Mexico, President Taft will win the new state of New Mexico. Very, very close race in a real 1960 election. 16 election. President Taft will win the new state of New Mexico. Woodrow Wilson will flip the state of Montana at the end of the election. The last time he voted Democratic was in 1800 for William Jennings Bryan. It went to him by about 18 points, but it has rapidly trended Republican, but it will flip back to New Jersey Governor Woodrow Wilson. And at the end of the election, William Howard Taft wins it with 332 electoral votes to Wilson's 199. Don't let it perceive you, but Taft may have looked like he did better, but from the new census of 1908, the 2 new states of Arizona and New Mexico gives more representatives in the House. So Taft will win it more than he did, but Wilson does get more electoral votes than Bryan did. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I will enjoy this alternate history just like I did for my 2000. And if this really would have happened, this would have changed a lot of history, Wilson not getting involved in World War One, Taft, we wouldn't have known what he did. And probably just a better time in the USA. I went through the states and all, but Taft probably would have easily won against Wilson. Roosevelt did take plenty of votes. He took a lot of Taft's votes. But in this alternate history, I'll let Roosevelt supporters go back to support Taft not all supporters went back. Some went to go vote Wilson, but yeah, so Roosevelt doesn't run here. I think this is what would have happened. I might make one where Roosevelt goes against Wilson, but I haven't thought about that yet, and I don't know how the map would look. It probably would have looked a lot worse for Wilson. It would have been more of a landslide. So yeah, this is what would happen. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you guys for watching.